The Elementals of Harmony by Fan of Most Everything. Chapter 10. Plight of Foal's Betrayal. Spike stuttered in a manner in which only dragons can strut. It was a strut born of instinctive awareness that the blood of tyrants and living forces of nature flowed through the strutter's veins. That the only thing distinguishing passerby from once was a good mood. That the strutter was simply better than every pony else in a 1 mile radius. It would be illegal to walk in such a manner without wearing sunglasses if there was a 6-foot-tall dwarf handy to arrest the offender. The young dragon's reason for deploying his swag could be summarized in one word: rarity. Certainly, the most beautiful creature in Ponyville would be enamored by his newly mature look. The possibility of failure was not even dignified with consideration. She was going to love him. As Spike approached the carousel boutique, an odd sound broke through the monotone confidence. He stopped as he tried to identify it. A high-pitched whistling shriek, growing louder, akin to when Rainbow Dash. His train of thought was derailed by a nearly supersonic ditzy-do blasting through the door of the shop. Understandable, given that the resulting shockwave sent him flying headfirst into a hedge. Once Spike extricated himself from the shrubbery, he rushed to the doorway. Verity could have been hurt! And, other ponies. Once he reached the entrance, the young dragon sought to take in the scene. A muttered, "Holy guacamole!" escaping his lips. A Pegasus had led to an incredible wake of devastation, tearing apart floorboards, shattering windows when she burnt off momentum. Now she stood atop a prone Rarity. Spike couldn't see either mare's expression, but it was pretty obvious that friendly smile would not be an accurate guess. The dragon approached the two, ready to defend the object of his desire. It was suddenly distracted by Ditsy's voice. Her tone made Twilight on her worst day sound heavenly by comparison. She spoke one word at a time, partly for emphasis, partly as a concession to her burning lungs. "Where is my daughter?" Rarity disdainfully glanced at each forehoof, pinning her down, before turning to their owner. "Try asking politely, dear. It works wonders." Spike couldn't see it, but up until now, Ditsy's eyes had been glowing a harsh blue-white. Verity's uncaring response, and literally her seeing red, her newly crimson red gaze reflected out the unicorn's coat. Arcs of electricity began climbing up her spread pinions. She snored furiously, sending out a shower of sparks. "Unless you want to fly along with this building, you will tell me what Dinky is!" Spike resumed his approach, ready to protest. "Please!" This last syllable was punctuated by a spat of puff flame and a young dragon stomping out of fear. The fashionista continued to be unimpressed. "That says you also nicely, Pixie." "Not exactly." The Pixies craned her hair at the staircase behind her. There was a certain brilliant unicorn, with another of those damn crystals over her horn. With her, wrapped with her magic, was Dinky! Ditsy raced to her daughter, but skidded to a horrified halt halfway. People's drank took in the jewels sunken into her daughter's forehead. Looking grossly disappointed to one so small, she felt the rage return. But the brief interruption in adrenaline had been enough. The strain the blonde had endured to get here so quickly presented its bill. She collapsed, exhausted. She struggled to keep her eyes open. The gray mare looked at Dinky. The filly looked back with a sad smile on her face. "It's okay, Mommy. You'll understand soon." Tears streaming down her cheeks. Ditsy Dew lost consciousness. Ravinica, years later. "You put a what in my what?" As out-of-context dialogue went, reflected Tessera, it didn't get much better than that. "I inserted a very fine wire of thurium through your ear and into your auditory cortex, allowing me to provide real-time translation with my every word. Once the heuristics had a firm grasp on how your brain processes language, I could and did scale it down to a minute bead." All this technobabble didn't seem to placate Ditsy. "A bead that's still in my brain!" the officer aggressed. "I didn't hear you complain about having a demigod in there. What difference do a few micrograms of metal make?" You... The Pegasus felt reason was obvious. You found herself at a loss for words what it was. Finally she sputtered, "Because!" Tessera hummed at this. "Well, under the weight of such devastating logic, I would be remiss if I didn't offer to turn it off." and considered the finger joints of his Ethereum arm. Of course, you'd have to develop your own translation method, or, horror of horrors, actually learn languages. Ditsy chewed the issue along with her lower lip. She slumped. Guess I just don't like the idea of ponies. People? Right, sorry. The idea of people screwing around with my brain. At least with me not knowing it. The human nodded. I couldn't agree more. The incredulous look this provoked was only enhanced by the bearer's off-kilter eyes. Then why did you do it to me? Because it wasn't my brain. Answered a smiling Tesseret. His smile only widened as he watched the young pony pass through brief confusion, shock, and petulant anger. Finally he added, Also, I needed some way to communicate with you and assure you of my good intentions. That seemed unlikely that you'd have the patience and proper mindset for foreign courses. Dizzy scratched the rock that made up the sky reservoir. Yeah. Tesser's expression returned to its usual neutrality. In any case, the man who I will be sending you has a tendency to read surface thoughts almost as unavoidably and reflexively as you perceived mana. He's also terribly skilled in several more mind magics. The Pegasus felt a pit forming in her stomach. Great. So what's the good news? This got a narrow smile at the human. Two things. One, just being aware that such magics exist allows you to exhibit a subconscious resistance to them. Two, here his face became more or less pleasant. He is, for good reason, very afraid of me. Here's the plan. Jace Berlin adjusted himself in his chair, reached up the quill in his hand, and sighed. If he had known that leading the Infinite Consortium was not something that could just be walked away from, he might have left it in Tesseret's mismatched hands. Assuming, of course, that such a course of action wouldn't lead to the death at the hands of a madman. Still, reflected in the prophecy, he made his multiplayer mercenary course controlling bed, and now he had to sleep in it. Even if that meant a disturbingly calm, Esperate swearing and everlasting vendetta against him. Or for that matter, dealing with an onslaught of paperwork that was nearly as bad as the word-consuming monstrosity that caused it. Wait a second. Why couldn't I just let everyone think that the Eldrazi ate me? Well, I, for one, am glad you didn't, Master Bellerin. Jace looked up. Silverdex, his head archivist, not a secretary, as the Vatican insisted, had entered his office without his noticing. Yet another stack of paper. Knowing his superior's sorrowful look, the blue-skinned humanoid offered a genuine apologetic smile. More dispatches from Zendikar, I'm afraid. The human knelt back and urged to drive back into his desk. Get everything and everyone out of here, I said. Why is that so hard? Detecting rhetorical questions has never been Sardar's strong suit. The consortium has been invested heavily in the plains, sir. We are simply too well established for a quick, clean pullout. Fantastic. Anything notable in the latest months? Archives has extracted one sheet from the chiefs. And it appears that Jar Isle has been lost. Jay straightened himself up at this. What? An entire outpost? No, sir. The entire island. The mind mates considered this for a moment. Indeed, sir. Also, the next interplanar memorandum was interrupted by an eagle screech. Both men turned and beheld a griffin hovering just outside the office's large picture window. Cyrildex was largely unflat. So I have someone shooting away, sir. Under a sorry interval, he turned to the prodigy. Master Bellerin! Chase had gone pale. There was something familiar hovering around the creature's mind. Something cold, sharp, calculated. A glittering light off of something around the beast's neck confirmed it. Finally, he swallowed it going up in his throat and shook his head. No, I'll deal with this myself. The Fendigan was taken more aback this time than the sudden appearance of a flying chimera. Are you certain, sir? You do have many pressing notifications that... Please, Sir Dex, please. The not a secretary, thank you very much. Wait just long enough to silently express his disapproval before replying. As you wish, Master Bellerin. As the archivist turned to leave, Jace added, Feel free to sign anything unimportant. I don't know what you could possibly mean, sir, came the prim reply. As I've noted in the past, my ability to flawlessly recreate your signature was developed solely as intellectual exercise. Planeswalker smiled. Thundercran humor might be drier than the average active volcano, but at least he knew how to recognize it. Of course. I'll be at my desk should you need me, sir. With that, Ceradex closed the door. Jace turned back to the window. All right. Let's see what you want. A bit of telekinesis applied at the proper points brought the window sinking in onward. The griffin flapped his way in, and the young man was able to see his suspicions were correct. The hybrid creature did indeed have an ethereal device hanging from its throat. It bowed its head, allowing the bauble to fall along the ground with the cord to which it was tied. Mace sighed. Wonderful. Just wonderful. He knelt and picked up the artifact, only to leap back as it began to shake ominously. With a thought, he was encased in a translucent array of magical barriers, ready to return the messenger and message alike to its sender. The griffin simply looked at him. Jason got the distinct impression he was trying not to laugh. The castle, meanwhile, puffed open and hissed out a stream of smoke. Keeping his distance, the man watched as the vapor spread and neither dissipated, instead settling in a ring around the device. The gas then fixed itself into a glowing circle of runes. Once complete, the sigils brought their light together, forming it from a distinctly familiar figure. Hello, Jace. Hello, Tesseract. The illusory artificer seemed as amused as a courier. Jace guessed that the man had anticipated his overreaction to the thing's activation. I'm sure you're wondering why I've chosen to contact you, continued the mate. The thought crossed my mind, yes. 2 reasons, really. One is to remind you that I've still got my eye on you. The maze focused on keeping his breathing even. And two is a favor I'd like to ask of you. Jace sputtered for a moment. A favor? Seriously, why should I do anything for you? The devil grin just got bigger. It's quite logical, you see. If you decline, then you must be feeling awfully confident. If you're feeling confident, then it's highly probable that you are happy. And we both know what will happen when you're happy. The projector allowed this to stew a moment before adding, if it helps, think of it as a sort of a commission. I won't even ask for an employee discount. Jace gritted his teeth for a moment before reciting himself. No viable alternative, really. Fine. What do you want? Firstly, you should know that this is all pre-recorded, so you can stop talking to the courier capsule. And yes, you are that predictable. Usually. Second, the favor is actually for a friend. To preempt your comment, yes, I do have a few friends. I used to wonder what the point could be, but I've had some practical demonstrations since. In any case, this specific friend happens to be a new member of our exclusive little community. As much as I've enjoyed acting as her mentor, I have some rather urgent business that needs attending to as per draconic fiat. As such, I request that you aid her in preventing a few spells that will prove essential as she chooses to travel to multiverse. Mostly illusions and such, nothing terribly complicated or beyond your abilities. In exchange for this service, you will have a reprieve from the ever-present threat of my retribution. At what point that reprieve will expire is, of course, not something I'm going to tell you, now or then. I also haven't shared it with your client, so don't bother trying to dig it out of her memory. On a related note, should I contact her after a reasonable length of time, only to find that you have not performed that as I've asked, nor that her mind has been tampered with in any way beyond mundane learning, I will not be pleased. The mimic smiled to itself. Well, that should be everything. Oh, I don't think you're getting 3 Ethereum out of this. With that, the runes, image, and capsule all vanished in a column of blue smoke. For a brief time, Jace said nothing, suddenly fuming as he contemplated the sorts of indignities which led to his subject to Tesseract the next time he got his mental hands on the aspirate's brain. Finally, he let out a breath he didn't recall holding, then noted to Griffin, What are you still doing here? He thought the question was rhetorical. The Griffin differed. Well, I'm expecting some magic lessons. You can talk. Then there was that trying not to laugh look. Pretty sure we just established that. The mind maze coughed into his fist. Well, I'd sigh. Never met an intensive Griffin before. Neither have I, Dizzy dropped the illusion. Only one I ever met was as dimmed as a thunderhead and half as friendly. Hey! Gabby was a teenager at the time. Oh, Mr. Arguser, I really just got your stuff fixed, and oh yeah, I fixed up your circuit boards, and I fixed up your... Thank you, Gabby. And furthermore, I also decided to... Never hire Gabby as your technician ever again. She smilingly said to the forehead, "Hi, I'm Dizzy. After a beat, she opened her eyes. Jace Berlin, psychomancer prodigy, and sculptor extraordinaire, and leader of the Infinite Consortium, had fainted. The pace is sculpted. Maybe I should get Mr. Shiladex. Whoa there, Paul! Applejack was applying all her wrangling expertise in trying to calm the enormous apple. Fortunately, under the current circumstances, she couldn't do much beyond shout, "I'm sorry, I said whoa!" Pinky winced as she heard one of the elemental tree lines crust like a house. "I don't think he's listening, Applejack!" Frecklepoint glared at her friend. "Well, I don't see you doing much to help. What did your little friend do? Hey, how?" Once Pinky had disembarked, she largely left Screwball to her own devices. The feminine pronoun will be used, as English lacks a suitable one for a being whose gender identity is Purple Monkey Dishwasher. Having had plenty of experience with avatars of Discord, the being propelled Equinoid Summoner had only given her the vaguest of directions. Since you're going to sow chaos anyway, might as well make it chaos that doesn't effectively conflict with our goals. Bearing this in mind, for like a bear turn, the Scion of Disharmony persisted herself, just underneath the Honesty Elemental's monolithic eye, hovering before a veritable cliff-sided fruit. Cracking her non-existent knuckles, Screwball drew back a hoof and glared at the ruby expanse before her. What do? She let out a battle cry. She delivered fury fears of blows along the Titan's surface, striking specific pressure points that may or may not be present in plants. With a what do? She applied a roundhouse kick that would make Chuck Norris proud. Once the assault was complete, she solemnly pronounced, "You are already pie." The flesh beneath the crimson skin began to shift, royal, folded, spindle, and mutilated chakras began to tear themselves apart in a spiraling circle of self-destruction. Unfortunately, those chakras quickly reminded that this was not a muscle-bound, post-apocalyptic henchman, but a physical manifestation of truth and vitality. As such, they settled back down, assuming they were ever there in the first place. "Combo breaker!" exclaimed Screwball, who was astonished as he applied his crunchy. Then she heard a noise that lay somewhere between growl, groan, and exploding subwoofer. Ah! A Hans Zimmer music tune. Boom, boom! The purple pony thing looked up. The eye, the size of a train car, glared back. Avatar offered a nervous chuckle, a certain wave, and a friendly "Possible!" before fleeing for her and continued their corporeality. "That's not important right now," answered Pinkie Pie. "What it is that you're right. I need to stop this thing." With that, she closed her eyes. It drew on memories older than Equestria. Applejack was about to yell at the other Earth pony for napping on the job when the air above the meditating mare began to ripple as if superheated. As traces of scarlet became visible in the heat shimmer, the farmer asked, "Oh, blanking?" As if in response, the party pony was consumed in a burst of heatless flame. When the smoke cleared, Pinkie sported bat-like wings. It was the seek that of Big Magatos. As the plane walker flexed the new appendage experimentally, Applejack noted an odd, flickering glow in her friend's eyes. Then she corrected herself. Those weren't bat wings. They were dragon wings. Plankly? Yeah. Her open mouth was similarly backlit. You will... This exceeded the level of weirdness that the orange mare could dismiss as just Pinkie Pie. It was also, she fairly admitted, way over her head. Good luck? Aw, thanks, AJ. The enchanted pony smiled, and blew out a heart-shaped smoke ring, and then took off. Yes, decided Applejack. She definitely owed Ditsy Doo an apology. Every pony had their secrets, and she was absolutely realizing not all of them needed to be brought to light. Whoosh! Pinkie Pie, having swapped herself into Smalley so far as the embrace of Shiv, dove into the orbit around the cranky pants that was running wild around Ponyville. Well, slowly trudging wild, it's really. Paul was just too darn huge to move very quickly. Of course, the very same hugeness meant that every single step covered a lot of ground. Some ponies' sows. Still, given how these steps were causing itty-bitty earthquakes, every pony had enough warning to get away before they risked getting squished. Where was I? Oh, right. That delightful dear Pinkie Pie delivering deadly draconic doom to a dreadful danger to darn near everybody. Once a few circles around the naughty dragon's noggin got his attention, it was time for some good old-fashioned fire breath on his backside. Then go around and follow her back out of Ponyville. A deep breath and whoosh! Uh-oh. It doesn't even look sensed.
Oh, hi, we're sorry for you, sir.
Pinkie Pie,
I was just,
narrating your own exploits.
yeah. You don't mind, do you?
Oh, not at all, not at all.
Good.
Mind you, talking to me in the middle of a fight doesn't seem like a very good idea.
Huh?
As it turned out, an Alkine's skull possessed greater structural integrity than Ponyville architecture. As Lila magically repaired the holes he had been beaten into the town hall's roof. She vented her frustration verbally instead. Stupid, lousy, ungrateful fools! I should just go back to the moon and refuse to race it. Let's see how much they are like Tia's pet when it's turning their falls into a scorched desert. That'll show them. Though they thought Eternal Night was scary. Let's see how bad Eternal Day is. And then maybe I'll get some real respect. And not just fighting the lip set. The moon's princess was interrupted by a rapidly intensifying shout. This! As soon as he spotted the growing spot of pink, Luna engaged her magic to stop it. By the time it took her thoughts to go from eye to eye to porn, the object made her into a royal muzzle. Still, when the pony who tells the moon what to do wants something to stop, then stop it shall, and stop it did. Then smile in recognition.
Hi, Luna.
The element of laughter? The deity took a moment to put name to the draconic hand's face. Pinkie Pie, correct? The party pony gave a massive, delightful grin at being recognized.
Yipperoo!
Her princess was confused.
What are you doing here, anyway?
The sheer quantity of informality in the audience of one brought Luna to attention. With a sigh in a slump, she released Pinkie Pie from her magic, herself from royal airs. It was Tia's idea. Go out to see ponies, she said. Ponies think that'll keep you locked up, she said. This was met with surprise.
She isn't?
Of course not! Honestly, for a beloved monarch, she seems to have the worst reputation. Molestia this, Molestia that, and she wonders why I avoid the public eye. Pinkie giggled.
Oh, no, Pony really believes that stuff. It's just teasing.
Luna frowned, confused. But why paint us some malicious gesture or insatiable? She shuddered, unable to finish that sentence. Pinkie considered this for a moment.
Well, has she ever played a joke on you?
The princess thought at the time Celestia had told her that she painted the moon a new color when it was really just the first lunar eclipse. On occasion, she could see in.
Then she probably knows cults before you.
The unicorn began to object, given that no prospective suitors had existed at the appropriate time. But when she remembered the incident enthusiasm in which her sister had suggested possible places to put her rosin stone on moral points. Sort of. Wing bonus, Tia, really.
Well, there you go. No Pony's perfect. But teasing doesn't mean you condemn your friends for those faults. It means that you accept them as part of who your friends are. Part of the reason why they're your friends in the first place. It's just kind of exaggerated when you're the head cheese. Though, I guess you'd be the head cheese, at least if the moon is really being a tease.
Luna took a moment to parse all this, before letting herself respond. I'm afraid it's not.
Aww.
Still, thank you, Pinkie Pie.
For what?
It's clear to me that if I'm going to be appreciated by ponies, I can't just sit back and let my title do it for me. Luna stood proudly. I need to get out there and show every pony just who Princess Luna is. Drag myself out of the history books and back into the mind of Joe Equestria.
Oh, right, Luna!
I realize he's a hit.
Oh, but wasn't that what I meant when I asked what you were doing here?
What did you mean?
Why aren't you helping fight the giant monster?
The princess frowned. What's that, monster? Yawns the elemental chose that moment to emit a sound so deep that it was more felt than heard. Luna turned to it. Oh, that's all, monster. She turned back to Pinkie, then blinked. Did you always have dragon wings? The pony gave a wide grin.
You're not that servant, are you?
The unicorn offered a sly smile returned. Not what I'm doing in my own self-pity, no.
It's just that we could really use some moon magic, or action.
Pinkie took a moment to consider this.
You aren't just going to throw your tiara at it, are you? Because I don't think it's going to work.
Luna ran through many possibilities replies before saying on a simple no. She continued, I think I know exactly what to do. Was anybody close to it?
That's Applejack.
The limit of honesty?
The proof main pony nodded. On top of the elemental of honesty.
You get her off of it. I'll deal with the beast itself.
How?
The princess' smile took a turn for the sinister. I'm going to show it the truth. The books in Brance's library, which is right next door to the Golden Oaks, had become the epicenter of an unprecedented spike in magical density. Unicorns surrounding the place, including newcomers who were forming a second ring around the first, attested to that. The ambient energy fed into their brains through the secondary nervous structure in their horns, producing a high that would have been declared better than sex had anybody been in any shape to make declarations. As it was, they were all too busy having their minds pleasantly short-circuited to do much beyond say and luxuriate. Unhorned passers-by assumed that there was some new release that was highly anticipated by the unicorn community, at least before they became too busy to panicking to notice. Inside the library, things were different. For one, there was a lot more elbow room, given the sole occupant. For another, the sheer amount of energy was causing some unusual behavior in space-time. The tree was measurably larger on the inside. 3 gates to L-space had formed in the shelves, as one to the walk-up factory. The basement was slowly transmuting into a precisely generated labyrinth, complete with grooves by which unwary wanderers were likely to be eaten. Now and again, an instance of Pinkie Pie from an adjacent timeline opened the bathroom door, excused herself, or himself, and returned to her own continuity. Then there was Twilight's bedroom. Her dreams took the form of uncontrolled energies, impossible shapes briefly dancing in the air before being shredded apart by cruel logic and heartless geometry. Other ponies, and stranger things still, peeked out of the other side of the vanity mirror. A spider in one corner quietly wove a textile dissertation that alternated between the essential impermanence of being and the combination of logical necessity and poetic beauty that was consuming one's mate. The topic, like the author's gender, was switched with every paragraph. The bed frame became semi-sweet titanium. The mattress had come to life, named itself Zem, and was probably working its life story as it happened. And beneath the ultraviolet ultramarine houndstooth covers, still somehow asleep despite the events of the morning, Twilight's sparkle glowed. Oh shoot, she's gonna go alicorn! Run! Generosity, thought Rarity, was a wonderful thing. There was so much that she was doing, which would be impossible without the crystalline incarnation of her element. Normally, she had to scramble to explain herself to Spike, even as the horrible state of the entry hall weighed on her mind. Now, she could lead the disassembling in Trixie's practice hooves, while personally supervising the cleanup. Furthermore, she had only to imagine how she wanted things, and the others saw as though they thought it themselves. No more room for miscommunication. No need to physically hover like a mother hen, no less. Practical matters were hardly the only ones that John helped to facilitate. The eyes of a unicorn could confidently say that she better understood each and every other pony under his auspices than she ever had before. Sire had known that Sweetbelle admired her, but never fully appreciated the magnitude of her sister's hero worship until now. Similarly, only now did Rarity know Trixie's full story, and through elemental magnificence, the two proceeded through contrition, forgiveness, and friendship at the speed of thought. The others were somewhat more enigmatic. Whatever anomaly that arose when Dinky Doo was incorporated still persisted to a lesser degree, making the link to her oddly fuzzy. Lyra, on the other hand, was clearly connected as anybody else. Up to a point. Any attempt to go deeper hit a mental brick wall whose presence was not even Sea Green Unicorn could explain. According to John, it could be Breeze, but he needs significantly greater pony power to do so without some nasty backlash. Ah, John. The nickname had originally been a play on words that catered to Rarity's picrologic tendencies, but it quickly became a term of genuine endearment. Diamonds were Philly's best friend, as the saying went. The Azure entity's abilities had proven the idiom countless times over, from the very moment they made constant contact. Rarity felt a unique rapport with the elemental. It only made sense, given her status as a bearer of generosity. Still, the relationship had become a curious thing. More than friendship, yet too passionless and congenial to be called romance. In any case, even amidst her mental multitasking, Rarity maintained a near continuous running dialogue with the gem in her closet.
So why precisely are we not welcoming Spike into our little group?
A dragon's mind is a wild and possessive thing, and well protected besides. Even as a young, he has mental defenses superior to the strongest of unicorns. Furthermore, he lacks the convenient back door offered by the unicorn's horn. I cannot reliably predict how he will react to my magic, and after thinking through, I relucted to experiment.
Well, I see. Saying he's such a dear. I can't deny that Fire Breath has a certain allure.
The pony pondered each of her current tasks in turn, then mused,
What did he do?
What of her?
Well, surely we're including her, aren't we? If nothing else, I want to know when and why she applied that false symbolic business you told me about.
Verity could feel the elemental thinking, sensing a few bits of decision slip in and out of her thoughts, and a deaf after to love thick embroidery. Finally gave an answer. She will certainly be a useful stepping stone, as a master of the incorporation of non-unicorns. However, it would definitely be best if it was done with her consent. Even in her current state, she has some of the most formidable psychic defenses I've ever encountered. By sheer coincidence, the showmare-led conversation with Spike raised a point where Rarity gave a smile.
Oh, thought the Fashionista. I don't think that would be an issue.
By the time Pinkie Pie had returned to the Odyssey Elemental's crown, Alzak was in the middle of a good hard sulk. All efforts to do anything significant thwarted. When she spied the party pony, she greeted her with,
Well, I hope you're having fun, 'cause I sure ain't.
The puffing main planeswalker grin didn't falter.
Not to worry, my good Applejack. Your Aunt Pinkie Pie's here to help.
This did little to encourage the farm hoof. You're only 2 weeks older than me.
Stand, please.
I call him Star Platinum, Pinkie requested, sedulously ignoring this point. Once her friend had done so, she closely examined the tether keeping the orange mare secured to the gargantuan. From the vestigial blossom emerged a fine-like groove that grew up to the farmer's diaphragm. From there, the woodier grooves branched out, wrapping around each shoulder and side, and 2 neatly skirting her tail. These branches met atop the center of her spine. The reason for this intense analysis was unclear, since Pinkie had decided on her course of action before she had gotten back from town hall. After a cautionary,
Hold still now,
she blew a thin, steady stream of flame over the connecting length of vine. Much to her dismay, it showed little damage beyond the shiny black surface, even after she exhausted her considerable lung capacity. When the smell hit Applejack's nostrils, she blinked incredulously. Like you ain't trying to burn that thing, are you?
Of course.
The living Botar's frowned.
Shouldn't I?
Frecklemare shook her head. Shoot, that shoots greener than Granny Smith on a tilt-a-whirl. You might as well try to scorch a solid lasso. The pink friar wilted at this.
No fire?
Then it validated plans A through G. She literally spent seconds on those tactical masterpieces. This is why she hated making plans. They never actually saw use.
Well, what should I do?
Elzak smiled. Finally see something she understood. You don't need no fancy spell. Those useless Celestia gave you. Pinkie pondered just for a moment.
Oh.
Tilting her head, she opened wide and bit down on the growth, then began to pull and twist. A gratifying series of fibrous snaps soon followed, culminating in a final tearing rip and a soft ba-ting! Yeehaw! The orange mare immediately took advantage of her newfound freedom, sprinting away from the ragged stump. Celebration was cut short by a sensation of lift. When you get away, I slap! Explained Applejack, who had somehow managed to slip underneath her friend before taking flight. What's that? Applejack asked, trying hard not to think about how much air now stood between her and the ground. The party pony called forth a modicum of black mana.
Because Paul's about to go.
A pair of sunglasses manifested over her eyes.
Nighty-night.
Yeah! Screwball halted the propeller of her suddenly exultant beanie. After removing it and giving it an thorough examination, she shrugged, finding no cause for the burst of enthusiasm. The missing is unimportant. She redonned and restarted her headgear. Gravity politely ignored how this pit stop took place in midair. Once she resumed her travel, the Avatar quickly located her assigned quarry. Wasn't that hard, really. Even against the pastel palette of Ponyville, a glowing inksworm tends to stand out. Diving down to the shiny thing, Screwball spotted the pink-maned rider and came to a disharmonious float that, on average, put her on level with Fluttershy. Diego and I doff for beanie.
Not deterring, YouTube!
The soft-pulling Pegasus folded in on herself, and the sudden appearance of the stranger. But inoffensiveness outweighed their diversion just enough for her to squeak out a
Hi.
It now needs to be said that only four kinds of meds can summon avatars to Discord. The desperate, the brave, the insane,
And Beanie Man!
who's a category unto herself. As has been noted, the creatures had difficulty following orders more complicated than go nuts. Furthermore, you have an unfortunate tendency to append the and kill them to any grammatically compatible command, and several others besides. This is why the response to the gentle mayor's greeting was, "You have no chance to survive. Make your time." By the time Fluttershy had processed this, the purple pony thing was halfway through on mid-air charge. However, the buttercone pony was a Pegasus, and the legacy included reflexes unmatched by the other pony subspecies. The sight of a rapidly oncoming object got her body to dart in a different direction, while her brain was still parsing the mangled sentence structure. A moment later, her assailant, unable to change her trajectory, struck the kindness elemental instead. The impact squizzed Eric's hair like a bullet being fired through raw dough, then slowly returned to its usual round safe, apparently unperturbed. The overall effect was not like a squeezed stress ball. Meanwhile, Fluttershy tried to reason with the experimentally hostile pony.
I'm terribly sorry if I made you angry somehow. Would you like to talk about it? I'm a very good listener.
By this point, Screwball had managed to work her way free of the oddly plush body of the luminous larva. Thus, she was able to respond the same way that anything literally made of cause went diplomatically overture. Namely, she tried to headbutt the diplomat. Tried being the operative word. Less than a second before the magic mare made contact with the cowering caretaker, she smashed against an immovable object that hadn't been there before, her momentum leaving her crumpled like an accordion against the obstacle. Behind this barricade, Fluttershy risked a peek at her impending doom. To her surprise, the soiled purple perpetrator fell to the ground before her, dazed and foreshortened. The Pegasus looked up and gaped in wonder.
Angel Bunny?
Angel turned and smirked. His pony had every right to be awestruck. Through meditation and rune inscription, he channeled the white mana built up around her cause into potent enchantment. The carrot to which he carved the runes had merged with his right forepaw, forming in a supernaturally sharp and sturdy lance. Vines flowed from the top of the festival, twining across the bunny's body, protecting it as they augmented its physical strength. Broad leaves spread from his shoulders, magic allowing flight where aerodynamics would not. A familiar gathering formed a shield of Screwball tried to nut. As a final flourish, a tiny wreath of laurels laid upon his head, thus making him probably one of the scariest bunnies in existence. Even scarier than that rabbit.
What? Behind the rabbit?
It is a rabbit!
You suffering sod!
Fluttershy took all this in as best she could.
How?
She stopped for a moment to gather her wits and shift mental gears to.
Pinkie Pie. Thank you, Angel.
The rabbit gave a proud nod.
Fritter, media salted lobster mugwump!
Continued Screwball. The Pegasus backed away from her. An angel landed between them and brandished his pole root. The Avatar shakily got to her feet, shook her head, and considered the two before her. Then she looked back on the kindness elemental, who was grazing them with a content, uncomprehending smile. Then she came to the decision. Wasabi! Seeing the odd pony spring at Eric, Fluttershy turned to her companion.
Should we help?
Angel shrugged. His pony was safe from the aberration. If he was lucky, it might destroy the warlike usurper of the throne of Cute, or vice versa, though that didn't seem particularly likely. The bear of kindness furrowed her brow in thought. In another universe, a brownie felt his heart spasm. After careful deliberation, Fluttershy came to the decision.
This thing, it isn't a pony, is it, Angel?
The rabbit emphatically shook his head. He had more claim to equanimity than that thing. The Barracuda mare took a deep breath, regret heavy in her next words.
I'm sorry to ask this of you, but could you eliminate it?
As his answer, Angel flew up to eye level and snapped off a salute with his shield paw, then sped into the fray. Well, fray was not the most accurate description of what was going on. Kneading, perhaps, since it seemed to consist of repeated blows to a soft, yielding substance. In any case, Fluttershy still watched. Horror was devouring her gaze.
Be careful.
When Pinkie conjured her shades, she did more than make a pop culture reference. The brief flare of dark energy stood out in Luna's senses, like somebody shouting her name in an empty field. She smiled. The dragon-wagged mare had refused to explain what her signal would be, only that she would be sure when it came. And so it was. The Princess of the Night kept herself hidden from any wandering steam engine sized eyes by keeping herself between the elemental and the sun. Besides just scaring her from detection, this also meant that she didn't need to move in order to perform the spell she was certain would end the beast. The spell that, with Pinkie's signal, she was now free to cast without worrying about catching any opponent into area of effect. Her heart glowed midnight blue, then pitch black. Focusing her will, Luna spread her wings to the full span and kept them still. She did not fall, for she obeyed gravity, not out of requirement, but out of courtesy. Magic flowed up her wings, and the shadows she cast extended outward. What was a tiny shone of shade, quickly consumed by her sister's light, grew longer and darker. And it flowed like a liquid, gaining speed at lost altitude. By the time it reached ground level, it consumed the Odyssey elemental before it even noticed. The end effect was a negative spotlight, a cone of impenetrable black mist and morning brilliance. The princess frowned. She could sense that this fluid night was not enough, that the torrent was keeping the giant contained. But little more, and it would not do so forever. Of course, she hadn't expected to. Another layer of anti-light filled her horn as she called even more power to bear, guiding it with words whose powers she herself had instilled. This world is a melted dust circling a tiny spark, floating in an unfathomable ocean of nothingness. Light, life, chaos, all of these are lies. Lies of such minuscule consequences that the universe allows them to seem true. But one day, its paces will run out. The spark will scatter. The melt will freeze. All will be as it truly is, dark, silent, unchanging for eternity. The falling river of black shifted then, changing from pure void to a rich tapestry of celestial lights. It was as thought Luna as attacking the creature with the night sky itself. Then, one by one, the lights grew red and dim, then went out together. Galactic arms atrophied and disintegrated. Nebulae attenuated to invisibility. Slowly, the assault returned to uniform black. Yet this was somehow more intense than before. It spoke of hopelessness and pointlessness, entropy and apathy, the decay and death that awaited all things. As an attribute so wholly alien to the senses of Ponyville, that many of those who witnessed it would suppress the memory in self-defense, unable to describe the event beyond Princess Luna defeated the giant apple monster with her magic. For that was exactly what happened. Luna relaxed her wings in her will. The great sable beam faded, slowly and grudgingly. The shadows had become nearly solid. The light having burnt them away as with a thick fog. Eventually the darkness that had cocooned the Titan receded, and what was left was laid bare. The remains of the Odyssey Elemental were not especially ghastly sight. There was not much one could do in the way of body horror with plants. This was hardly the most unspeakable application of black magic. Still, the contrast from before was striking. The legs, once wide as ancient oaks, had shrunk to colorless husks that visibly shook under even what little mass the creature still had. The apple head had shriveled and paled to a white wrinkled thing that barely larger than a carriage. The eye glassy thick with cataracts. The princess came to a grateful landing, pleased with her work, but concerned with the fallout. From her studies, she knew Equestria had not seen such spellcraft in centuries. She had to stop the operation for the sake of the world. But what would be left of the friendship she had only just begun to form? Certainly every pony would now fear her, she of such dark and terrible power, kept in check only by the grace and charity of her wiser, more beautiful sister. Luna's brooding was interrupted by Pinkie Pie's more dramatic landing, skidding until she bumped into one of the elemental's desiccated legs. From that contact came innumerable snapping sounds as the body crumbled, followed by a shower of ash. Thankfully, most of the stuff faded to nothing before it hit the ground, but enough survived to at least briefly cover the ponies up to their flanks. "Then," Luna said, light-hearted as she dared, "I think that went rather well." "Your Highness?" The unicorn to the farmer pony. It was currently struggling to get off her friend. Maybe, just maybe, if she didn't mention it, no pony else would. Applejack, without you and your friends, I would still be a raving madman, intent on forcing my knight on every pony at the cost of the entire world's being. If that does not entitle you to speak to me without titles and bondishment, I do not know what does. Pinkie finally sat down, allowing the freckled mare to get to her hose on the ground. Applejack tottered a few steps before collapsing onto the wonderfully silent earth before her, replying, I think it's like Luna. She waited a moment to confirm that her stomach sailed before continuing. Just remember to stay on your good side. Don't know what you think to Paul, but it worked better than apple corns on a silver log.
Yeah! Sighed the party pony, now into enthusiasm. I see a lot of dune spells in my time, but that was the coolest, doingest one since ever!
Luna was astonished. Really? I'm not afraid? Applejack quirked an eyebrow. Shoot, of course I was afraid. Show me a pony who says he ain't afraid of that, and I'll show you the filthiest lad this side of Appaloosa. The farmer saw this hurt front to the princess. Forget ain't spoken eggs. Well, that don't mean I'm scared of you, Luna. You did what you had to do, so that bad apple didn't work the town. You're a hero. Oh, a hero? This prompted the biggest smile the unicorn had given outside of the library or in Sandy in the past 1,000 years.
Yeah!
Affirmed Pinkie.
After we take out the other nasties, we're throwing you the biggest hero party ever!
Applejack is soon 1,000 yards to her. Other nasties? Dizzy gradually regained consciousness. Physical and emotional aches making the prospect of waking up very unappealing. However, her attempts to fall back asleep, or pass out again, were akin to someone trying to force a hot air balloon to descend by jumping up and down on top of it. Still, she could at least keep her eyes closed and lay still.
Come on, dear, I know you're up.
Or not. Pegasus opened her eyes with a groan and fixed a baleful stare on Rarity. Well, Rarity and a ponykin in one corner.
Where's Dinky?
Rarity sighed and shook her head. Really not, Ditsy, you're beginning to sound like a broken record. In the space of a heartbeat, the blonde pacewalker went from lying on the floor to standing muzzle to muzzle with the fashionista. An odd, distant sensation told Rarity that something was touching the crystal encasing her horn.
Say that again, Ditsy hissed. Tell me again that my concern for my child is beginning to bore you. Give me an excuse to shatter this gaudy chunk of paste.
The face became a lot more odd, a lot less distant.
What are you doing? Mommy, please stop.
Pegasus did, her attention to her daughter.
Oh, Muffin, what did he do to you?
Dinky gave the same sad smile she offered her mother before it passed out.
Don't worry, Mommy. You'll get to see for yourself real soon.
Dizzy frowned.
Not a chance. This all ends now.
Her eyes began to glow with white magic. The filly shook her head.
It isn't that simple, Mommy. The crystals are connected to our horns and brains. Unless you move in the right way, well.
We certainly wouldn't come out to petrify it, offered Rarity. There is one final thing to note. Dizzy turned to the source of the new voice, oddly layered and rhythmic tones coming out of the pony's throat.
Trixie?
The stone mare betrayed no emotion whatsoever, eyes glowing as same hue as her mane. Trixie lays deep within the soul at the moment. She's embracing the opportunity to escape from herself. The others are helping her with the issues she simply had repressed until now, even as we speak.
Then who am I speaking to?
You know. The Pegasus nodded slowly.
I suspected. The generosity elemental itself?
Yes. In order for those outside of this soul to understand me, I must borrow the voice of some pony within it. Ditsy could feel the anxiety build. She has been expecting some massive servant, or a squishy thing with too many tentacles. Not this calm, extra being. She'd taken the dink-dum monster any day.
What do you want?
I tilted Trixie's head to one side. Ultimately, to give myself to all life, to unite everything in a planetary network of shared thought. In as few words possible, to be generous. The planeswalker nodded. One good thing to fighting a brilliant mind. If you can keep them talking, eventually they'll tell you everything you need to know to defeat them. In the short term, as you may have noticed, I've only incorporated unicorns for this assault.
Obviously, my goals cannot be achieved by adding one more subspecies. A Pegasus is close enough to give acceptable odds of success, while different enough to aid in incorporating more exotic specimens. And if I refuse? You will not. Dinky.
Dixie's mouth went painfully dry as she watched her daughter walk up to the blue mare.
Yes, Master John.
The blonde struggled to stay calm against any nasty reflexes.
What are you going to do? It is simple and logical. You clearly object to your child's presence in this assault. If you do not join it, I will remove her from it.
Dixie's feral face showed emotion for the first time, a severe glower.
I will not, however, do it gently. Her psyche will be irreparably damaged. There is a very good chance that she'll be contact for the rest of her life. It could prove fatal.
The Pegasus was speechless with horror for a time. She heard at some point he spoke.
All is not generous.
After each sentence, he realized it was for her.
I am offering you a choice. Whatever happens will be the deciding factor.
Under other circumstances, Dizzy would call out manure inherent to this argument and have a pleasant little argument. However, Dinky's life and mind were on the line. Badgering was not a luxury she had. She felt tears pulling her eyes as she looked at her daughter. Ophelia just smiled.
I'll do it.
Let me avoid. Your own choice of mana plus 3 black mana. Sorcery. Creatures your opponents control get minus X until until end of turn. Congratulations, you just got a new card. The gulf between stalls is as far beyond consumption. Hostile imagination. Those who question Luna's puissance will do remember that these depths are her place of power. Starswell the Bearded. And before the story continues, the author gave out a small little interlude called Capricornia. So, in interest of completion, we will proceed to explain it. Ahem. This is from the Planeswalker Guide to Ungula, Volume 1, Equestria and Ponies. Unicorn Horn. As we previously noted, Equestria is a notably magical land in an already notable magical plane. You can't swing a cat inside its borders without hitting 3 enchanted objects. Oftentimes, one of them is the cat. Still, even in the comparison to this high bar, Yugolan unicorns are quite magical in their own right. As with Piggside, unicorns of Yungala are far removed from the more typical specimens sprinkled throughout the multiverse. As with all subspecies of Yungala's philia, they are as intelligent as humans, with the full range of possible mental facilities that the comparison implies. Indeed, in the unicorn's case, there's a slight weighing towards the smarter end of that bell curve, given the unique physiology of their horns. Unlike that of the larger, less talkative unicorns you are likely more familiar with, a Yugolan's unicorn horn is less like the rack of an elk, and more like the horn of a rhinoceros. However, even this comparison falls once you look below the surface, both literally and figuratively. The outermost layer is both composed of keratin, though the unicorns tend to grow with gradual curl to it, resulting in a single spiral fluting. Beneath the first layer, the super stiff hair protein is a much different story. While the rhino does add more keratin, the unicorn has similar cortex, a highly specialized nervous organ designed to create and manipulate magical energies. Despite its name, the cortex recapitulates the structure of the entire brain, including the cerebellum minoris, a seat of magical muscle memory, and the chromatic lobe, which carries out the behind-the-scenes complexities of spellcasting, much as a human child's brain can not instantaneously perform the calculus needed to anticipate the future position of a ball mid-flight and catch it. Indeed, the thematic cortex is so complex, it technically qualifies as a second brain in its own right. While it's normally content to manage magical matters, moments of it have been dubbed extra-conscious activity has been documented. These episodes usually occur during adolescence, as the still developing cortex, for lack of a better word, experiments. It's possible that the thematic cortex's constant exposure to self-generated magical radiation gives it some degree of precognition, as these episodes have never proved harmful to the young unicorn, and not to point him or direction of their special talent. As last time I checked, no connection has been made between extraconscious activity and a slightly higher tendency in unicorns to develop mental disorders when compared to other pony subspecies, particularly dissociative identity disorder. And we got a new card out of the deal. Telekinesis. 1 colorless mana, 2 blue mana. Tribal enchantment, unicorn. Other unicorns you control have a tap. Tap another target permanent. Fingers are overrated. Huh, Mykin?
Did you really just add that shot against Mike and just for shits and giggles?
Yes, Trixie, I did. Yes, I did.